Hey everybody, how are ya? This is video 4 in the workshop that I participated in with Dan Infalt. Make sure you guys go to one of these workshops. They are a blast. Enjoy this video.
This spot's been pretty good to us over the years. Like I said, it's completely surrounded by water, so it acts like kind of like an island. It's kind of interesting that it gets really heavy pressure on the outside. There'll be guys just on the other side of those cattails, but yet I have some action with some pretty big bucks right out here. That buck that I was tracking down jumped as soon as we got into the dry land over there, as soon as we got out of the water, and ran across here. And I did come back and hunt him, but he never showed back up. I remember one hunt intimately, and you're going to find something out about me. I don't remember hunts as well if I kill a big buck as I do if one burns me. They kind of stick with me. It's kind of the opposite of others probably, but I really focus on the failures and improving them. But I hunted out here once, and this probably goes back 20, 25 years ago, where I came in on that main dirt road that we came in on, and it had snowed at night. And it stopped snowing about 3 in the morning, and I was thinking, I'm gonna go back and try and cut a track coming out of one of these feeding areas, follow it back to bedding, and hunt this thing. So I hit a real big track coming out of that cornfield that's on the other side of the dirt road, about where we turned into here. And it just kept coming down here. When it came into here, I know this area pretty well, and I know they bed on that island right there in the cattails, and I know this is the island right there that they bed on in the cattails. That one's a little harder to see, it's just some trees in the cattails. So I got in here, and the tracks went through here into the trail that goes to that island. So I had a climber at the time, and I got one of these poplars. I don't even think the poplar's here no more. It might be that old dead one in the front of this one in front of us. And I climbed up that thing way up high, facing the tree, and turned around, and that buck was bedded on the tip of that island looking up at me like this. It's one of those things that stick with you when you make a mistake like that. And we stared at each other for the rest of the night until it was too dark to shoot, and I just climbed down. He never moved. He just sat there staring at me. Those are the ones I really remember. And you should. I mean, that's the stuff that teaches you lessons that you should learn from, right? Now I climb up the back side of that tree, right? But killed a few good bucks here too. And what's interesting is every time there's high water, I see those bucks bedding right on the edge of these cattails instead on those islands. And when it's shallower, they're on those islands. Where the bedding on those islands is off to the edges, and they start getting underwater when the water gets high. One buck I got for a client when I used to guide, I set him up in this trio of oaks here. And the buck literally got out of a bed. It was a high water year, right in that patch of trees there, without ever knowing he was there. So he was bedded within, God, that's like 25 yards, right? Got up, walked out, and he shot it. And that was a real big 8-pointer, probably like 140s is a typical 8. And those of you that have been following for a while, if you've seen my journal, 2 years ago I did a journal about a real big 8-pointer I was hunting back here. That was here. And this is the spot where I was set up right here, and he got up in those trees right there. I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but a lot of action here. We're a little further back, you might notice, from the bedding with them being on the islands, which are the first opening. So those deer will clear those cattails and then stage. So that safe zone kind of changes with each bedding area. So how close you get is based on the terrain, right? And what you can get. Obviously I can't hunt in the middle of those cattails and kill them. So I have to hunt at the first opening. And what I try to do here is if there's not snow on the ground, I can't tell which one they're bedding on because it seems to be kind of random. So what I've started doing is setting up like about back here in this oak tree here and trying to cover them whichever way they come out. But occasionally they come out and follow an edge and you don't have a shot because I'm trying to cover both at once. But
when you're hunting these islands and stuff, how are you accessing it? Are you wearing waders, knee boots, hip boots?
I wear my rubber boots, but I usually end up getting a soaker or two. The stuff around here is over the boots, but there's a way you go through the cattails too. And if I come in from here, I can usually stay dry If I come from that way, I usually get wet. But this way, what I do is I do what you call duck walking. And it's I step over the cattails and step onto the roots of them. And if you step in the middle, you're going to go through. And there's more than one reason for that. But the reason the middle of that trail is worn out is because deer, those small hooves, you're walking on deer trails. If you're not walking on a deer trail, you'd never get through that stuff quiet enough not to spook stuff. So the deer pop your legs through and they go all the way down to their bellies. When they come out of this stuff, they're almost always covered with mud on the bottoms. They're just sloshing through that stuff, hopping through it, which is amazing they'd go through that to come back here, but they do. So what you do is you don't want to step in that same spot because they've worked that open. And most of this is floating bog. It's deeper than actually what you think. You know, it might be this deep of water, but the cattails are making like a blanket on the top of it for you to walk on. So you step onto the cattail and you push the roots down, and you're widening the trail, but you're standing on the cattail roots that are in that moss, and that holds you up. So that's what keeps my feet dry, but occasionally you still go through.
Then you just take off your pants.
Right. If it's too deep, you just undress and over the top of the head. If it's on video, you leave your underwear on.
So hunting pressure in these woods over here does not really have much bearing on a deer moving here. I would assume that would affect this, but as long as there's nobody here, they're still using this.
Yeah, they're using this just fine. It's like they know the people are there and they accept it.
That makes this better.
What's that?
The pressure there makes this better.
Yeah, they kind of just hole up here. They know what's going on over there. And they eventually go over there.
After dark.
But they wait till after dark and they go through there and they'll leave big rubs and stuff in there. And that just gets those guys even more enticed. But some of the younger deer will go over there and those guys will kill them. When we had our CWD hunting, there was a while when it was unlimited tags. And you get all you wanted, you get 4 a day by going to Walmart and you could shoot anything you wanted. And there were guys shooting a lot of deer and they really wiped out the population here. The hunting here used to be better than some of the leases I've been on in Illinois and stuff. I mean, literally, on public land. I mean, we used to see Pope and Youngs every other day. But they wiped a lot of that out. Now I got to work a little harder like everybody else. But I ran into a school teacher who was hunting over here. And he told me he had shot, and it wasn't even rut yet. He had shot 8 bucks right over here, all 1.5 years old. You know.
Wow.
And I'm like, why? And he's like, well, they want us to. They, you know, spreading CWD. And it's like, okay. They still have never killed a deer in this whole area with CWD. You know, but whatever. But so that guy was killing, you know, 8 bucks right across those cattails, but he wasn't seeing the bigger bucks I was seeing. And I would see that too. I'd see the younger ones come out, mill around a little while, and then go through. Well, there's still plenty of daylight, but the bigger stuff would come in here and pull up later. And you'd notice too, they'd pay attention to noises over there. You know, whether it's a squirrel or a person or what, but they'd be looking that way a lot. You know.
Is there anything that would ever push you out to actually setting a stand out on that island?
Maybe morning. Maybe get in there from a canoe. You know, because there's a river to the backside of that, and come in from the morning and try and get them that way.
So you're setting up a couple hours before daylight then?
Yeah. In the morning, I want to get out there early. You know, even if they're not bedded, they seem to hang in the area where they're going to bed before daylight.
So they might stage here and then head out there closer to sunup?
Yeah, pretty much.
I haven't heard you talk about like rattling or anything yet. Do you see any rattle here?
Not much. I really like to catch them by total surprise. I have rattled in bucks, mostly when I was younger, and now I just really, to me it's a desperation move where you're trying to make something happen out of nothing. That's not to say I wouldn't do it, and that's not to say that's a bad thing. Something that would make me rattle would be if I'm sitting on a property where there's really no reason for the buck to come over here, but I know he's right there and I can't go over there. That would make me do something like rattle or call, or usually grunt calls. What I do is if I see the buck and he's not coming to me, I'll grunt to him. And that's killed a few bucks for me. But it's not something I sit in a tree tooting a horn all day long, you know. No, I don't. I'm not saying that don't work, but to me, I think trying to fool a buck is a lot harder than catching him by surprise. Yeah, I don't use none of that. Some of the things I've had happen when I used to call that I've noticed, you know, or when I call when one's downwind and comes in, you see a nice buck going through and you call to him, and the buck catches his attention and he looks. If you call when he's looking at you, he'll nail you in the tree because their hearing's so acute, they'll know exactly where it came from. So you can only call when they're not looking at you. And then the other thing is most of them would come in from downwind, and if you can beat that, they come in on edge, staring around like, where's this deer I heard? And when you shoot, they drop the string, you get a wound, they bolt. Most of the time you can call bucks in, you can get to see them, but killing them with archery equipment when you call them in is a difficult task. But if I know bucks in the area, I can usually figure them out and get them fairly easy off guard by just figuring out how he's bedding and getting around that way. And I like that game better. I think if I know a big buck's in the area and I'm hunting that buck, there's a sense of pride. Like say that Rome Legend buck, I was hunting that buck, I knew he was here. I took a guess on where he's bedding. I get in a tree and I'm sitting there waiting, and he gets up out of that bed and he comes to me and I shoot him. There's a real sense of pride with that. Where if one just runs in and calling, that's not to say I wouldn't shoot it. I'd be happy with it, but I don't think there's that same sense of pride like you really figured them out, you know what I mean? Where you won that chess game, you know. And that's just me. I'm not telling people what to do or anything else. It's just the way I am, my style. I like that chess game kind of one-on-one where you're hunting them on an equal playing field, you know.
You talk about not putting trail cameras like where you hunt. How would you put anywhere where we've already walked, or is it too close to?
Usually not. If I did, it would be the email type, or I'd let it soak the whole season. Yeah. You know, if you're going in checking it, you know, I get 1 or 2 hunts out of a spot like this, and it's done. You got to catch it at the right timing when the buck's in here, and kill them the day you come in. And if you don't, move on to the next spot. So for me, it's a lot about finding lots of area like this, being able to cover a lot of ground. And like I said before, this is a big area. I'll come through here once or twice and determine if there's something in this area that I want to shoot. And if there's not, I'm moving on to the next area, and I'm covering a lot of ground. I think a lot of people waste their time holing up on 1 or 2 properties. And that's hit or miss. They're either there or they're not. You know, you can't shoot something that's not there. And if you put too much pressure in one spot, you might make the deer unkillable. Once he knows he's being hunted, a mature buck can be pretty tough. The bucks we shoot out here, probably 90% of the mature bucks I shoot out here, you find a broadhead in them, you find a bullet in them, or multiples. They're not getting to be 5 or 6 years old without having multiple interactions with people in negative ways. They're very shy of people. And that's the whole thing about just taking a look at an area like this and saying, okay, where does nobody go? And that's where the bucks will be. Because they don't want to be anywhere near that smell that's stung them a few times in the past.
So if you're after a certain buck, how long will you try and get that buck?
Well, if the buck's in this area and I know it, I'll usually concentrate on it pretty hard. You know, I'll put a good effort into it. And I don't think you can kick a mature buck out of this area, but you can make them harder to hunt for sure. But if I know he's here and I know all the bedding areas, I'll just keep skipping around trying to cut him off. And you can kind of stack it in the way of, if there's 20 bedding areas in this area that you think he could be in, I get more excited after not seeing him 15 hunts, because those last 5, I'm pretty sure he's going to be in one of those spots. You know, which sounds weird, but it seems to work out for me.
Makes sense.
But again, you got to learn an area pretty well to do that. I go into a new area I haven't been in much, and I struggle too. You know, until I get that area down and learn it.
How do you determine an area to hunt? Or like, say you're not using like cameras and that, do you just watch the rubs you're putting up?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm walking in and looking at sign.
Okay.
And you inadvertently, you said something that I like to touch on. You know, how do you pick an area to hunt? There's a lot of public land in this area. 99% of it I won't even touch, you know, due to pressure and stuff. I'm looking at this because it can grow big bucks. It has cattails, it has thick stuff, it has water. It has places bucks can go where guys can't line up in a line and drive them all out and kill them. That's not to say like you go to the Kettle Moraine and there's not deer there. But there certainly ain't numbers of big bucks when it's all dry land, because people will line up and kill everything. We're here, we hunt a section in this area and you'll see guys in orange everywhere during gun season. There won't be nobody over here, you know, in the cattails or the water. There'll be sections where there's nobody. And that grows and holds those mature bucks. So you got to be able to pick the right properties for sure.
Well, if like you pick those areas, it's not guaranteed there's going to be bigger stuff there, but there's more likely to be bigger
Correct.
stuff there.
Correct. You know, right here, we're right between Milwaukee and Madison. We got huge towns like Oconomowoc and, you know, Sullivan, and all these people hunt. So these places are full of pressure. So it's hard for a deer to get to be 5 or 6 years old. So if that's what I want to hunt, I got to go seek out those type of animals and find where they're at, because they're not going to be on every public property, and they're not going to be there every year. So I got to find a sign that they're there. And usually what I'm doing is I'm hunting multiple big bucks like that, and I might hunt a big buck like that for several years. You know, where I'm going in and playing tag with them a little bit, but then I'm going playing tag with another big buck. Not everybody's going to have that option. Some of you are probably hunting areas where you're lucky if you got one good buck, and you got to kind of concentrate on that. But that's just how I do it.
What's the food source for the bucks that are bedded right here? Is it just the acorns, or will they make
Early
their
season,
way?
these acorns pop in. Later, the crops that are over here.
So they'll make their way all the way over to the crops.
Yeah, and to touch on that too is a lot of people really focus on acorns and crops, when a lot of these bucks are eating a lot more than that. A lot of the plant food out here that I can't even name. You see them eat stuff that's bizarre. When me and Joe were hunting in Minnesota with that public land challenge, we found an area where they're just pounding stinging nettles. They're coming from everywhere to the stinging nettles and eating the stinging nettles. And when you touch it, it burns your hands, you know. There's a lot more than just acorns and crops that they feed on. You just hear more about the acorns and crops. But this spot, again, we got, what, 3 oak trees. There's no oaks anywhere else. So I certainly want to be within range of these oak trees in early season if they're dropping. And I don't think I've ever sat here early season, but some of them I would, some of them I wouldn't. Just slow. Just slow and quiet. It's not as noisy as what you think. Going through the cattails is just as noisy whether you're stepping on those things or not. It's noisy. But one thing I gotta say about that is that in those cattails, your noise ain't traveling like you think it is. When I'm in a tree listening to deer move in those cattails, I can hear them from 100 yards. You can hear them like you're on top of them. And you're sitting there like, where are they? Where are they? Because they're down in them. And you can hear them really well. But when I'm down in the cattails, I'll have deer walk right up to me. I'll have pheasant hunters walk right up to me to right here. And I don't even hear them coming, because it works as a wall. It stops your sound. That's not to say you can walk around and they're noisy and stuff, but it is to say you can get away with a hell of a lot more than you think you can.
Same concept for hornstalks too, you think? That sound barrier?
Yeah, probably, yeah. I just wouldn't step them over. The farmers get mad. The last group we came out here with, there was we probably kicked it out of here. There was a buck bedder right in front of that little pine tree with the wind blowing like this. I don't know if the bed still shows. Probably not, because we got 10 inches of snow since then. But you know, they're still in the same proximity. All right, let's back out to the road.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that video. Video 5 will be coming out very soon. Promise you that. You guys have a great day, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you get notified when that next one comes out. See you guys later. Bye-bye.